Hello, this is Brahim Selassie, the Orthodox Catholic one here on YouTube. This first video will be about, the first section I should say, will be about the omniscient Jesus. I will have second videos because it's going to be very long. Anyway, this is an old article I had, and the question is, did Jesus lose his omniscience for time? Was he omniscient? And things that go along those lines. My position essentially is that if Jesus was ever ignorant of anything in any way, shape, or form, even for a brief split second in time, he could not be God, or at least he would have lost his divinity for that period, which is not possible biblically because God is immutable. Anyway, man I went online, his name CIA, also known as CIA Loves You, on Pal Talk, insists that Christ in his divinity was not omniscient while on the earth after the incarnation and before the resurrection. He used verses such as Philippians 2, talking about though he was in form of God and that he emptied himself. Essentially, this is called the canonic doctrine, which is pretty much condemned as heresy by one of the popes, and is largely a misunderstanding of what Philippians 2 is about. It's about charity. It's about a person going down and doing something that's beneath them, but doing it anyway. Not something about them relinquishing any authority, divine prerogatives, and so on. And then another one's Mark 6, which is a verse that saying, well, Jesus couldn't heal these people, even though the clear explanation is simply that because they lacked faith. And then Mark 13:32, which also goes along with Matthew 24:36, which simply says that when Jesus is talking, he says that the Son does not know the day or the hour. Now the context is Judgment Day, but essentially what you're going to find from this is that he did know the day or the hour, but it's not given for man to know the day or the hour. So subsequently, the Son of Man has no authority to release it, and it's not proper to his particular human nature. Anyway, let's go on. I admit for a time I thought maybe this is possible, but when it goes down to it, referring to Jesus' omniscience, maybe it's possible he wasn't. I thought that for a time. However, it denies that Christ was fully man and fully God. You cannot say he's 100% God, but lacks this one quality of God, which is omniscience, knowing everything, being prescient. I came to learn this view, that this view is nothing short of apostasy, referring to this view that, well, Jesus could have forgotten, he could have had some amnesia, could have been hit over the head, and just couldn't bring it up. Just completely escaped his mind. But the main argument these people use is, as I mentioned, but of that day or hour no one knows, neither the angels in heaven nor the Son, but only the Father. This view that Christ was ignorant of the day and the hour in his divinity was explicitly rejected by the Church Fathers. Christ was omniscient when he said this, and his omniscience was due to his divine nature, not his human nature, which only knew this because of his divine nature. Philippians does not say at all that Christ lost his divine attribute in his divinity. It merely says he humbled himself as a servant. To say Jesus was not omniscient after the incarnation is an insult on the divinity of Christ, by far the worst thing. The short answer, as I mentioned before, to Mark 13 is that he's speaking as the Son of Man. The Fathers explain that Christ was omniscient and omnipotent while on earth. First, let's look at some of the biblical claims that are used for Jesus' omniscience. First one is brought to you by St. Augustine, found in his Tractate 103. He's quoting John 16, verses 29-30. And this is what the holy writer says. His disciples, referring to Jesus, said, "Now you are talking plainly, and not in any figure of speech. Now we realize that you know everything, and that you do not need to have anyone question you. Because of this, we believe that you came from God." Then we have John 21, where Peter was grieved because he said to him the third time, "Do you love me?" And he said to him, Lord, you know all things. You know that I love you. This next one's from the Apostle Paul. It's 1 Corinthians 1:24. Christ, the power of God and the wisdom of God. That's a clear statement. Colossians 2:23. Christ, in whom all the treasures of wisdom and knowledge. So it's saying that Christ is in him. They're hidden, the treasures of wisdom and knowledge. Hidden treasure, that's one of, I think, Christ's names. But anyway, the fathers, and actually maybe I should make this a second video. Anyway, this is Brother Hank Selassie. I was Catholic. Wait for the second video where I'll go through the church fathers.